Hey guys, so I just wanted to make a quick video about Venti and whether you should pull for him or not, and under what circumstances you may or may not need Venti. So I'm pretty sure everyone knows that he's the best CC in the game at this point, and especially in some Abyss floors, that's really invaluable, especially on like 11-2, the monolith level, the most hated, most hated floor in the entire game. But not just that, his like damage multipliers are absolutely amazing. As you can see, I have him on level 9, and it's crazy. The press damage is 469%, which is no joke, and even for his ultimate, the damage over time is 63.9%, plus the additional elemental damage from like the swirl and whatnot. So it's crazy, and it's 60 energy, so it's not too bad, especially if you have like a favonius warbow or whatnot. It's you get your energy back like super fast. Speaking of the favonius warbow, Venti is a really cheap character to build, and to this day I've really only used the favonius warbow on him. I mean, I do have a refinement 5, but even with like a refinement 1 or 2, he still does really well, because like he's just, as you saw, the multipliers were really insane. And also, if you just have the VV4 set, it's nuts. The effect is crazy. Increases swirl damage by 60%, and decreases the opponent's elemental resistance within the swirl by 40% for 10 seconds. So if you're using somebody like like a Diluc or something, and you're not running a vaporized comp for some reason, you can just run Venti plus Diluc, and it just reduces their fire resistance by 40% for 10 seconds. You can stack that with Lava Walker if you want. It's pretty good, but I mean, I would recommend running Diluc in a vape comp anyway. But anyways, aside from that, it's just that the 4 set just makes him even more potent than he already is, so it just makes him insane. And I'll have a showcase at the end of the video, so stick around for that. And now, of course, with New Zhongli being so good, and most of the gameplay not really requiring any sort of CC other than the like Abyss floors, would I say Venti is necessary? Well, I don't think he is necessary, but like if you do pull Venti, he does make things a lot easier. Even in the overworld, with mobs and stuff, he makes it, and obviously in the Abyss floors that require a lot of CC, like the aforementioned 11-2, would make it a lot easier. But his ult doesn't work with bosses, so you obviously can't CC bosses, which makes him near useless in boss fights. You'd usually want to sub him out if you're fighting a boss, so yeah, that's not amazing, but he can be used for anything else. And I think in levels like 11-2 or like other Abyss floors with like many mobs, grouping them together is just super useful. I Venti sort of in a way, he carried me to a full 9-star clear of floor 11, so I think that's pretty nuts. But yeah, I'd say all in all, Venti is an amazing unit, just by virtue of him being the best CC, and also he's just a crazy powerful damage support. Even with 4-star weapons, he's cheap to build, and like you don't need a 5-star weapon to maximize his potential. In fact, his best in slot for the moment, before Elegy of the for the End comes out. But for now, his best in slot is Stringless or Skyward Harp, if you have it, but Stringless is fine. It's still really good. So yeah, a lot of content also doesn't require any sort of CC. So the only things that really do, I would say, is Abyss, and if you're having trouble with overworld mobs, which I hope you are not. But yeah, so other than that, I think he's a really good unit, and you can pull for him if you have the Primo Gems, but don't spend money unless you're really comfortable with it. So one more thing you should keep in view is that you don't really need constellations for Venti at all. As you can see, his Constellation 1 is useless. It's really bad. His Constellation 2 is okay. Anemo and physical resistance debuff for the enemies by 12%, and then extra 12% when they're launched upwards by the E skill. C3 and C5 are just talent level ups. Level 3, Constellation 3 is for his ult, Constellation 5 is for his E skill. Constellation 4 is whenever he picks up an elemental particle, he gets a 25% anemo damage bonus, which is good. And C6 is obviously the best one. Any targets in his ult will have their anemo resistance decreased by 20%, and if an elemental absorption occurred, then the res towards like that element that you swirled in is also decreased by 20%. It's really good, but it's also not really necessary. I mean, you already have the Viridescent Veneer set, so it's not the worst. You really don't need any of his constellations. If you have Venti, I'd say this banner is an easy skip, and if you don't have Venti and you really want him, just stop at C0. There's no need to go for any further constellations. Anyways, now onto the showcase. And there we go. That wasn't too bad. I probably could have killed him in one shot if I brought Xiao or something, but yeah, that's another thing. Like, melee characters have trouble hitting him in the ult, so you might want to keep that in mind. That's another caveat for Venti. But all in all, he's a really solid character, and he does crazy damage, as you probably saw. So it's really up to you. I'd say he's a great character, great CC. I think it's quite worthwhile to be pulling for him, especially if you need the CC, if you need enemies to be grouped up. And yeah, that about sums up my thoughts about Venti. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.